back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Jason Marshall Jr., Florida corner, Miami Dolphins just drafted him in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft. Here we got him at the top of the screen. One of these signings that you're really going off his athleticism. You look at his RAS, listed about 6 foot 194, so has solid size, ran 4.49, had really good explosive grades, a really good 10-yard split. And his 2023 season, like, he was projected to go higher. Like, he had a really strong 2023. Former 5-star guy, like, the athleticism is clearly there. Like, here he is covering Malik Neighbors and having success. So, Dolphins have always really valued those athletic traits, and that's what you're trying to develop. And when you get there in the 5th round, that's a pretty normal thing to do. Interviewed really well, and obviously was a very good tester. So those are some great potential things that you can work with. I like his man-to-man ability. Like, I think the coverage stuff overall is pretty good. Like, I think press man, off man coverage, for the most part, really solid. Zone, I think it depends on the type of zone coverage, but it's not like he's bad there. I think there's just lapses at time in, like, the mental. I think there's times where he needs to be a better communicator in, like, pass-off route concepts and two-man. Another area I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's going to be, like, super overly physical as a tackler. Like, it's not really his game. So the tackling stuff is a little bit of a disappointment. But he will have, like, some of these, like, wow reps in zone at times. I think especially deep down the field that he feels very comfortable, maybe splitting two-man route concepts. But when he has to, like, pass off stuff and he thinks he's in charge of one guy, like, he will stick with it. And I think he needs to play with better eye discipline in those situations. But, like, his hip fluidity and some of the plays that he makes is super impressive. Like, here, top of the screen, you'll see him versus LSU. They're in cover 3. This is a tough ass. This is versus LSU, good team. Jaden Daniels in cover 3 like this. The fact that he can open up his hips, he's playing vision to the quarterback, and they're running basically 4 verts. And the ability to get over the top of the number 2 vert right here on the tight end while you're playing deep third, basically being responsible for both guys, is such an impressive play. So he's able to squeeze that, get there, ball slightly overthrown, and he shows off the ball skills, makes that catch. Very, very impressed. Like, the athleticism and the size, great developmental tools to work with. I think he literally just has to figure out just some of these lapses that he has from the mental side of the game. I don't ever see him being like a super great tackler or physical guy, anything like that. But those physical tools are for sure there. And there's probably some other guys I would have gone with in the 5th round. But once you get to the 5th round, there's only so much you can expect. And this is, there's definitely worse ways to go. And you can see, like, some of these reps versus Malik Neighbors here playing in, like, at the bottom in a soft press. Very comfortable. Like, he's playing with good body lean, good bend, good balance. He's staying square. He's got a good base. This is what I like. I think the soft press, he looks very comfortable. And he has the athleticism to match a receiver like Malik Neighbors, who's obviously very good. And he now, once Neighbors commits, his eyes are good. I think his eye discipline needs work in zone, but in man, it can end up being pretty good unless he needs to, like, play match and pass things off. He's able to open up, stick in that hip. They don't target him in this situation. Here's another rep where he's 101 off man. Sometimes I think when these guys set the brakes on him, I've seen him get too far beaten. Like, I think he can anticipate better. But, like, even with Neighbors, one-on-one, they're bringing the house. They're running cover 0. He shows good, like, ability to be like, hey, they're probably going to throw this pretty quickly with us blitzing. He gets in a good spot, and he's physical at the catch point. I think overall ball skills are decent. Nothing to, like, write home about, but he will be competitive at the catch point. And leaving you isolated on one-on-one Malik Neighbors like that, and he puts on the brakes that well, and he definitely sold vertical. That's very good athleticism. His transitional ability for Marshall is really good. Love the hip fluidity. I really value those types of things, and for a guy of his size, like, he's definitely very fluid, very smooth. Here's another rep of Malik Neighbors. They tried to hit him with the fade, and he's just in that hip pocket, man. He's staying patient. He's staying square. He does a good job sort of inching back. I think his technique for the most part is pretty good in these situations. Then he gets hands-on once he commits, stays in the hip pocket, doesn't allow any separation at all. Actually was giving Malik Neighbors work back in 2023. He actually more struggled with Brian Thomas Jr. in this game, who is another very good receiver in the NFL at this point. But just a lot of good reps in man-to-man. That's where I prefer him at this point, I think, in his career. Definitely the developmental side in zone, but carrying guys, playing in more of an out, locates the football. You can see it better from this angle. Once he sees that receiver, kind of looks his eyes around, go play it. I would say ball skill is pretty good. Like, he will knock the ball down. I don't think he looks super comfortable sort of tracking it down the field, but, it definitely could be worse. But, like, he is mostly comfortable on a vertical plane. You'll see maybe he'll lose a rep, but here, gets the interception, has to turn around, which is impressive. But basically, isolated on a vertical plane on the outside again, one-on-one in coverage. He's opening up those hips early. He sees his positioning, so he turns back into the receiver. So when this happens, like when you're playing upfield shoulder positioning, like you have this high upfield shoulder positioning, this is how you are supposed to like turn into the receiver to look for the back shoulder, because that's usually where the ball will go when you're placed like that. But he sees the ball still thrown over the top like he's throwing a go ball. So he turns back around. Now that they've swapped positioning, he's on more of that even ground with him. He now can turn the other way, and he is able to catch the ball and come away with the interception. Very impressive. I think his 2024, he missed some times with injury. That definitely, I think, hurt him. But he had a strong, offseason with how he tested and how he interviewed, according to reports at least, the interview stuff. And then I think the film, you can see why teams do definitely value athleticism at the corner position. I think the Dolphins are one of those teams, and the 2023 film is pretty solid. I think for a 5th round pick, it makes sense. It's probably not. It's not my favorite pick out of the class, but I think it's understandable, and I could see him developing into a nice piece. I don't know if I would rely on him too much in year one, but vertical plane, just carrying some of these good LSU receivers, feels very comfortable in press and off man, which is always helpful. Being able to do things from different alignment, different depths, can help disguise coverages. And even as a 5th round pick, he's going to have a chance to see some playing time, just considering that corner room. If he goes out and competes versus guys like Cam Smith, Storm Duck, like, it's not impossible that he could win a job. I'm not expecting that in year one, but this is kind of the negative sometimes. Not necessarily this one being his fault, but when him and his like guy are supposed to like work through rub routes and pass things off, there's just always poor communication. This is just like one example of it. I had to show this just because it happened enough to where like he could, maybe pass it off. Maybe this one isn't his fault. We don't necessarily know what their call is, but it happened too often where like him and his teammates need to be on the same page more often. For me not to throw a play in there that was like sort of one of the worst ones of it. And then here he is losing to Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, it is tough. You were isolated one-on-one on the outside, and he doesn't play that bad initially. Like, he's playing good balance base here, keeping his outside leverage. He knows he has inside help. This safety doesn't give him much. And then right here, he gets a little too much leaning. Like, he's not in a great... Like, he's bending at the waist here. You don't want to waist bend, and that causes him to be a little clunky in transition. And then Bryce Thomas Jr. is just... If he gets on top of you, he's going to be a great vertical threat, and he's able to pull away. Marshall is able to at least, get back down there and make the tackle, and then they do try to throw the fade after the fact, and he plays it much better. He's very comfortable down in the red area playing man-to-man, less space for BTJ to beat him over the top. I mean, it is a tough ask, but there are, those reps will happen. I mean, every corner is going to lose, especially when they're left one-on-one versus very good receivers. But here, playing a good job. I like his ability to stay square, patient, and man coverage, and he clearly has the high-end athleticism to mirror and match high-end athletic receivers at times. It's just lapses in mental. And then he has like some of these like crazy zone reps like this where he's playing on like a deep third here, and they're running sail, so they're trying to put him in conflict, and he does a good job knowing he has help over the top, but he's leveraging both route concepts. I think he does a good job in these situations where he can leverage both. There's basically 3 levels of routes happening. He puts himself in a position where he can break on the route to Leggett, and once he sees this, he sees Rattler plant his foot, and he's going to throw it deep, and look, he's already getting ready to center field turn out of it, and then look at his recovery speed to get down there and help out his safety, and he's actually the one who knocks that ball down. You'll see it better from this angle, but clearly some speed. Sometimes we'll have those very impressive zone plays where like he should have no chance to make a play on that ball or even take away a throwing lane, and he will take that chance. I think he's a very aggressive like risk taker in zone. Like he's gonna take a chance when something happens, especially on the deeper routes, which is I guess playing it safer, but he will give up some of those. And then you can just see the mirror matchability, the hip fluidity. These are routes I love to see when you're playing press man-to-man and the guy tries to give you so much. So here, versus Brew McCoy at the bottom gives you, a split release to inside and then tries to work back outside of you, so you have to open back up your hips. and he tries to break back underneath you, so you have to flip those hips back again, and he's just able to mirror and match it the whole way, flip those hips open multiple times. Love this from a corner. Love seeing the hip fluidity, man. Mirror and match ability. Like, it's definitely there. I just think if he had a little more instincts, a little more route recog, I would feel really good about him as a player. Uh, but definitely athleticism that you take a chance on in the fifth round. And it's routes like this. Like, he passes stuff up. Like, when he sees, like, they're playing man match here. So once this receiver inside releases, he knows to pass this off. Like, that, it's just basic rules. So this safety now takes this, and then he's gonna close. Look at him get down here. Look at how much speed he has to get over the top. And somehow, if this ball was thrown, Cam Ward doesn't throw it, but he would have been in a chance to somehow make a play on that vertical down the field when he was aligned press on this receiver. So I'm a fan. I think it's a solid pick. Uh, nothing like nothing I would really like complain about, be mad about. It's not my favorite pick, but there is definitely traits to work there with Jason Marshall Jr. And sometimes these the 5-star guys that never quite worked out, they were showing their potential, and then they have that injury that kind of derails them. It's a I think it's a flyer worth taking a chance on. It wasn't like drafting any other corner in that fifth round spot would have made the difference anyway this year in that corner room. So I don't mind taking the shot at the higher end guy with your pick in this class, especially with I feel like with the look of this offseason, I feel like the Dolphins have gone with like the future in mind for sure. Like, they've cut some people, they've cleared the cash out there, and they've taken on some developmental players, and Marshall Jr. kind of falls under that category, but he might even see some playing time in year one. So it was just a video, comment and subscribe next time.